things I want to teach you in this class. So we're giving you the overview of the principles from this chapter. So here the quote says, natural means used in accordance with God's will bring about supernatural results. We ask for a miracle, and then what happens?
The Lord directs the mind to some simple remedy.
Yes, God directs our mind to a simple remedy. So I had an experience when I was in Andhra again, and this was right at the beginning of the time I was there. We went for our first village meeting. So those lay pastors that we were training, they were doing all the work there in the villages. I was the health teacher. So I was there at the church where the village meeting was going on, and one day in the afternoon they called us and said, please come and visit this man. He's staying next to the church, but he's not a Christian, and he's having some problem. But he's a good man, and he's respected in the community. I think he was a postman or something, in charge of the postal service for that village. And so they called us to come to his house. And I went to his house. What happened to him? He had a disease called spondylitis. Now, you may or may not know what spondylitis is, but in his case, what was happening, that spondylitis was making calcium build up inside of his spine, where the nerves come out that make your arms move. And so he was losing the use of his hands. And he was trying doctors, he's trying different things. It's getting worse. And you could see from the look on his face, he had no hope. So he called for us, Christians, to come and pray for him. So we came, we prayed, and I asked, can I see your medical records? So I started looking and seeing what exactly he has going on, everything what I could find out. And he had some severe conditions. Some of the vertebrae were fusing together. So there were some things I wasn't sure what I could do for him. But I prayed at that moment and I said, Lord, show me what I can do for this man. And I was impressed to do hydrotherapy and massage. So I said, okay. So I gave him a massage on his back, and then I showed his family how to do a very simple version of a fomentation treatment. So you're going to learn how to do a full fomentation treatment. It's the most complex treatment we do. But what we did for him, there was a little fire burning there on the ground, and there's a little pot of water boiling, and they had a nice long towel, so we folded the towel in thirds, and we twisted it, we dipped it in the hot boiling water, we got it hot, and then we wrung it out so it won't burn him, right? But it's still hot, and we kept it on his back. Usually, we would keep another towel to protect him, because it's a very primitive situation, the towel didn't stay that much hot, that I needed anything to protect. So we showed his family how to do that, and to put cold in between, and his family continued to do this treatment. So it wasn't, I don't know, I may have met him one more time while we were there, but they gave me the report that 1 month later, that man was in the church, giving praise to God because he could use his hands. Now, I can tell you that hydrotherapy is a powerful modality, but I can tell you that that very primitive form of hydrotherapy is not enough to heal a man from spondylitis and restore the use of his hands. But there is a God who chooses to work through simple remedies to do miracles. So don't be afraid to use something that seems too simple to help, right? Because God wants to do something amazing. And by the way, after I prayed that prayer and started that treatment, I went and I did 3 hours of research on the internet to find out exactly what natural remedies I could use for spondylitis. And you know what I found out? Hydrotherapy and massage. God is better than Google, right? He knows everything. And if you have a situation where you need to know something, He can tell you. He knows what all conditions are hiding in that person's body and what you could do that might harm them. So He can give you wisdom when you need it. So, at this point in our class, there's a question that might be coming up in some people's minds. And that question is, okay, we're talking about natural remedies. We should use the natural remedies, but what natural remedies are you meaning? There's a lot of things that are called natural remedies. Are they all good? And if they're not all good, how can I tell what is good and what is not good? Well, of course, we know that not everything is good. That is called good. I have a couple quotes I'd like to read to you from page 94 and 95 of your textbook. Page 94, it's just under the heading Satan's Compelling Claim. Ministry of Healing, Medical Ministry, page 87. Satan will come in to deceive, if possible, the very elect. He claims to be Christ, and he is coming in pretending to be the great medical missionary. He will cause fire to come down from heaven in the sight of men to prove that he is God. So if you see someone doing healing and it works, does that mean it is working by God's power? Does that mean it is a true natural way of healing? Not necessarily, right? It could be Satan. We need to know how to tell. And you will be hearing more principles of this as you go along, but I thought I would include just a few thoughts today. One more quote from page 95. Selected Messages, Book 2, page 53. So this is the third paragraph after that heading, Satan's miracle working agents. Men, under the influence of evil spirits, will work miracles. They will make people sick by casting their spell upon them, and will then remove the spell, leading others to say that those who were sick have been miraculously healed. This Satan has done again and again. Know? How will we know what is true and what is not true? So there are some different methods of healing that are practiced around the world, but let's just talk a little bit about Ayurvedic medicine since it's common here, right? So Ayurvedic medicine, are there good things in Ayurvedic medicine? What about the use of turmeric powder? Is that a useful remedy? Yes, it's very useful. It has many healing properties. I probably don't even know half of them. I know it's antifungal. I know it boosts the immune system. I know it's good for, healing different skin conditions. But I know people take it for stomach pain, things like that. It's very powerful. But they use other good things, many good things, including massage, right? But there's something in the Ayurvedic medical system that is not what we can endorse, and that is the philosophy, the spiritual teaching behind it. So why is it that in Ayurvedic medicines you will find always some product from the cow? Why? Yes, because they believe that the cow has divine power, right? And so they're using that spiritual belief, and it's influencing what they're teaching, what they're doing. So when we take natural remedies, we need to be careful. What is the spiritual belief that this is based on? Am I taking a remedy that's based on the belief in God, the Creator, and His power, and the way He's created the body? Or am I basing this on somebody else's teaching, which is not good? There's another concept that's very common not only in Ayurvedic medicine but in many forms of healing throughout like China, in Eastern medicine, and this is the concept of energy flow. That there is an energy in the human body. We're not talking about electrical impulses in the nervous system. We're talking about a spiritual energy that flows through chakras and can be blocked and has to be cleared through a spiritual process. This is a very common teaching in many forms of medicine in the East, but it is not based on physiology of the body. If you dissect a human being, you will find nerves, you will find arteries, you will find veins, you will not find chakras. Because it's a spiritual concept, not a physical thing. So this may be hard for some people to accept if they're used to thinking in this way. But we have to test everything, right? So I want to invite you all, take whatever you're used to thinking, just start testing it and evaluating it. Does it make sense according to how God has made the body? As you learn in the anatomy and physiology class, you will learn about how folk medicine, or maybe even a spiritualistic satanic thing that has come in. Now, there are other healing methods, for instance, tribal healers. Many tribal healers have a great knowledge of herbs and things like that. If you get sick, they may know just the herb to take for that. So there's a wealth of knowledge in that way. But many of them also are using spells and incantations and those kind of things mixed in. So again, we have to prove all things. We can't take those satanic spiritual concepts and bring them in as a Christian. So first we have to test things by how the body works. Dr. Daniel talked about that yesterday, right, in massage. Reflexology, pressing on the foot to fix the liver, to fix the kidney. Okay, if you press on the foot, there are a lot of things that can relax. But when it comes to fixing the liver or the kidney, that is not connected to the foot directly. Only in the sense that the whole body is connected to the foot, right? So those are based again on the concept of chakras running through the body, these spiritual energy pathways that are supposed to come out in the feet. So if you look at that teaching and you evaluate it based on the structure of the body, we don't find it there. And if we look at it, the spiritual teaching behind it is not a Christian teaching. So we have to say, this might not be something I should do. It might be working with another power. Many of the natural healing methods that are not good work with energy in some form. So if you see a natural healing thing that claims to work with energy, you need to be very careful what kind of energy is it working with. There's an Adventist man who came and spoke at our church where I was working, and he had an experience, a testimony that's amazing. You can find it online if you want to look it up. There's documentaries made about his life. But as a small boy, he wanted to go into martial arts, and he did finally become very high-level martial arts practitioner. He wanted that power. He wanted to be able to smack that rock or that block or that piece of wood and it would break. He wanted what those men had. And so he kept going higher and higher and deeper, chasing this power that he couldn't quite understand, but he wanted it. And he was experiencing it. And he was becoming an apprentice to more and more higher masters in the martial arts field. But he was walking away from God, and he was becoming trapped in a plan of Satan. At some point, he left his wife, he left his children, he walked away from all of that was tying him to God. But his wife found a new relationship with God, and she kept praying for him. 5 years later, he came back to God. He again married his wife, and God turned his life around. But that source of energy that he was using in martial arts, he found out is the same source of energy that is being used in many of the healing methods today. It's the power of Satan. His wife had one experience where, while she was separated from her husband, she was sick sometimes. She was very stressed. And so somebody took her to a healer, a Qigong practitioner. And she didn't know really what is happening there. What is this man doing? She couldn't quite understand, and she had a doubt. Now, is this good or not? So she started praying, and he's going, there's an energy pathway which needs to be cleared. Let me do this, and he starts doing his work, and she's praying, dear Jesus, if this is not from you, would you please stop it from working? I don't want Satan's power if this is from Satan. So finally, the man, he got a little bit frustrated. He said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but there is a light inside of you that is keeping me from being able to treat you. There's a light inside of you. The light of God, the power of God, was preventing him from being able to use that spiritualistic healing on her. Because she had prayed, honestly prayed, that God would protect her from that thing. And if you ever get into a situation where suddenly you don't know, is this right or not? I would recommend praying the same thing. But God will show you. There are many, many things that you can learn about this. It's huge, and I can't cover it all today. But one more question you should ask yourself: where did this healing system start? Who started it? What did they believe? If somebody is teaching a kind of massage or a kind of healing of whatever, and that person was a follower of Satan directly, then you can really doubt what they're teaching. You don't want to take your healing from Satan, right? You want to take it from God, who is the source of all good and all healing. So those are just a few principles as we're sorting through what natural remedies to take and what to leave behind. But there are many more. There's a whole book called Spiritualistic Deceptions in Health and Healing that is excellent. I don't know if you can find it online. I haven't checked. But I know I used to have a copy, and it's very powerful, talking about some of the ideas that are behind many things that are called natural remedies, but they're not true science. So I asked Pavitra now to share